I can't go fast. I can't go that fast, St. Jonas, but I am a sucker for books. Okay. My name is Michael from Team Epic Reads, and you are watching the Epic April Book Haul. I got distracted by all the books that I have in front of me. It's a very gloomy day. I'm not going to stare wistfully out into the overcast. I'm going to start talking about some books. So how I've been starting these videos off recently is by talking about the book I'm reading for the Year of Epic Reads Reading Challenge. The Year of Epic Reads Reading Challenge is a series of challenges. It's weekly, monthly, or quarterly challenges that have themes, and there's a Facebook group where you can go and chat about whatever you're reading as long as you're reading a book within a theme. I do the monthly challenges because I can't read a book a week. If you guys can, invisible hats off to you. I have no idea how you do it. But so the Facebook group and all the information you need to know will be linked down below, and I am reading a book that cures my wanderlust, which is this month's reading challenge. The book that I have for that is Red Scrolls of Magic by Cassandra Clare. I feel like I needed to say that dramatically and it came out weird, but I love Cassandra Clare. I've read a lot of her work. I know this is a spin-off with Alec and Magnus, and I've just started getting into it, but I don't really know much about it other than that. But look at that, the Eiffel Tower. Wanderlust, gonna be cured, or gonna get worse because I'm gonna wanna go to Paris. So, I had a terrifying moment where I was like, oh my god, the Eiffel Tower is in Paris, right? The first book I'm talking about is, I can't drum roll with one hand, Defy Me. Do you get it? Defy Me? I'm sorry, Tahara. This is the 5th book in the Shatter Me series, which follows Juliet, who has the ability to cause pain and potentially kill with her touch, and it's caused her quite a bit of stress in her life. And she also lives in this dystopian world where there are sort of sectors that the world's been broken into that control the lands, and the people in charge, the Supreme Commanders, aren't necessarily good people, and it's a very action-packed series. There are superpowers, it's a very sexy series, there's romance, it's super fantastic. This is the 5th book, and it's the first book to have Juliet's perspective, which is had all along, Warner's perspective, which we got in book 4, Restore Me, but also Kenji's perspective. And Kenji is a fan favorite character, and so I am so excited, because I already read this, for you guys to read it so I can talk about it with you. The next book I have here to talk about for you guys is The Tiger at Midnight by Swati Tirthala. And this cover, can you see the light reflecting off of it? Can you see the light reflecting off of this full jacket? It is a hard yes from me, and this is an enemies to lovers romance about a female rebel assassin whose goal is to kill a general, and so that's what she's trying to do. But she's also in a little bit of an enemies to lovers romance with the general's nephew, which makes things complicated. And so it is this really exciting action-packed fantasy book that I think I've told you enough. I'm very tempted to spoil it because I read it and I loved it, but I'm not gonna, because that'd just be a rude thing to do. So check this one out, you guys. The next book I have here to talk about for you guys is Love and Other Curses by Michael Thomas Ford. I'm trying to posture like they're doing with the skull on the cover, but I feel like I'm just pushing the book out of frame, so I'm going to stop that now. And this is about Sam Wayward, who's got the Wayward family curse on his family, where if he falls in love before the age of 17, the person he falls in love with is going to die. And a new boy comes to town, and he's like, no, I'm not trying to kill anyone. I'm 16, I'm almost there. I'm good. I don't need anyone in my life. But then he finds himself having feelings for this new boy, and it's that story, but it's also the story of what happened to his mother, and also his distance from his dad, and being a gay boy in this small town, and there being only one gay bar in the whole town, where he becomes friends with the drag queens who work there. They're just a fantastic group of characters, and that's all I'm going to say about that one. All right, stop, Michael. The next book I have is The Meaning of Birds by J. Robin Brown, and this book, just touching it, makes me feel more emotions. Can you see it on my face? And you will find out why when I tell you the plot. It's about a girl named Jess who's been angry ever since her dad died. And this is the before time period of the book. And then this really beautiful soul and just like breath of fresh air person named Vivi comes into her life and makes her feel like everything can be okay again. And then there's the after perspective, after Vivi suddenly dies on her. And she's even a darker place than she was before, and it's hard for her to express herself or find joy and get out of this place that she's found herself in because so many bad things have happened to her, and it's her journey coping with the grief and finding her way out of it in art and life and expression and feelings. So the next book I have to talk about is An Anatomy of Beasts by Olivia A. Cole. It's the sequel to Conspiracy of Stars, and at first I thought I wanted to know what that creature on the cover would have looked like before it died, but then I realized it would have been super terrifying, so probably not. And this follows a girl named Octavia who comes from a family of researchers. They live on this planet called Feloiv, and they've been studying and researching it, and she learned that the council in charge had been doing some shady, bad experiments in the last book, and she learned that in this book, their most recent experiment is a scientifically weaponized creature, and so she's got to stop these people from doing terrible things and save sort of everyone on this planet, and it is an epic sci-fi journey. So the next book I have here is Through the Waywood by Jessica Leek, and this is about a girl named Katya who's the ability to freeze with her touch, and she accidentally hurts some people with this ability, and she's sent to live in the palace of a terrifying prince, which doesn't sound like, honestly, the worst punishment for her. But she learns he has the ability to summon fire, and so they both have these really cool abilities, and also learn that people with the ability to control Earth are trying to take over everything, and they have to stop them. So it sounds like a really epic Avatar: The Last Airbender-esque journey. So the next book I have here is Dreaming Darkly by Caitlin Kittredge, and this is a gothic mystery, which I'm so on board for, but also kind of scared, about a girl who, after her mother dies, goes to live with a rich uncle she didn't know existed on an island called Darkhaven. Right off the bat, sounds like a sketchy place, and some strange things are happening on the island of Darkhaven, like when she wakes up from a nightmare covered in a stranger's blood. Personally, I can say that would 100% traumatize me, and now she has to figure out the mystery of what is happening on this island and to her, and does it have anything to do with her late mom? And then I have The First True Thing by Claire Needell, which follows a girl who is on a good path now. She's clean and she's sober and she's trying to make things right for herself when she gets a text from her best friend asking her to cover for her. It's a small white lie, so she's like, sure, will do, and covers for her. But that's the last anyone ever hears from her best friend. And so it goes into a mystery of what happened to her. Do I tell people that I lied and potentially could be someone at fault for what happened to her, and also trying to stay clean and sober all the while this is happening? And it sounds like an emotional journey. And then I have Since We Last Spoke by Brenda Ruffiner, and I really dig the very subtle heart around the houses that's on this cover, and this is a Romeo and Juliet modern day retelling where these two teens are in love, but something very tragic happens between their families when their older siblings die in a car accident. And so there are restraining orders and just super intense emotions, and these teens having to be in love but have this awful thing have happened to the both of them and their families be such at odds, and to sort of help everyone cope with what's happened and move forward and just like have these powerful feelings for one another even in the midst of tragedy. So those are all the books from us I have to talk about for you guys. There are two books from other publishers I wanted to touch on really quick before I leave. The first of which is Internment by Samira Ahmed. And if you haven't gotten the chance to see, we have a series called Why Not YA, where we got to interview Samira Ahmed. So you should definitely check that out. The link will be in the description down below. And this is set in a terrifying near future where Muslim Americans are sent to internment camps, and it follows one girl's journey for freedom and to make right what has happened. And then lastly, I have Wicked Saints by Emily A. Duncan. Someone clearly has already read this and loved it, because this is a well-read book. And I will just read the back to you really quickly because I don't know too much about it and it sounds really cool. Something dark and holy has found its way into the hearts of everyone. And there's blood dripping down, not only on the back, but on the front too. This sounds dark and super epic. So thank you guys so much for watching. That's everything I have to talk about today. Comment down below with which of the books sounded most interesting to you. Let me know what you've been reading this month, because give me some recommendations. It's a symbiotic relationship. Where did that word come from? I hope I used it right. But thank you again. I will see you guys next month for the May book haul. Bye-bye.